Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we got you. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Hey, you know what? That shit's going to happen. All right, team? Shit's going to happen. But you know what? We're trained in this. We're going to adapt and we're going to overcome and we figure it out. All right? As you should in life. And welcome to Comfort and Chaos Podcast, guys. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, guys, with yours truly. And of course, Mr. White Buffalo himself up high in the mountaintops of Colorado, coming to you live. And then, of course, also, you see a new face here in the studio.
That's not a new face.
Well, I mean, he's not a new face. You're right. You're right. Guys, our one-eye correspondent finally was able to make some time to come into the studio. You know, he's been hard at work. He's on the front lines, guys. He's been all over the place. He was in Gaza. Remember the drone footage? He was hiding outside of Taco Bell, freaking getting that drone footage, giving you guys that ground, hard-hitting correspondence. He was just in the Oval Office, guys, recently, and he's got some information to report. You know, he's got to waste your time. There's too much to get into. Too much to get into. But before we get started, we always got to check on our battles. All right. So, hey, Will, how you doing, man? Everything good?
I'm good, man. You know, fighting off some travel. Was out in North Carolina this week for a little business trip. You know, enjoying all of the wonderful things that Vietnam has to offer this wonderful, wonderful world. So was out there, you know, just got back. Happy to be back in the great state of Colorado, and yeah, man, like just living my best life. How about you? Like what?
Oh man, I'm good, dude. I'm blessed. You know, every day above ground's a good day. You know, but yeah, man, I've been busy. You know, like you said, hey, team, we've been gone. I mean, things have been busy. Will's been hard at work, out of town, and then of course, we've had a lot of stuff coming up here at work for me. You know, you guys can already see some of the other videos. I mean, there's a lot of training, a lot of stuff going on with the team, and readiness is the focus right now, guys, for us. So that means I got to be extra busy, you know, extra busy. But that's not going to stop us, team. It's not going to stop us. But we got One Eye in the house. So One Eye, hey, man, how are you doing? You good?
I'm doing pretty good. It's good to be back in the studio.
I bet.
Still wondering when I'm going to get paid from you guys of all the intel that I'm gathering for you guys out there. I'm continuing to have to scavenge for food and resources while I'm out there. You know, the funds are running pretty low. So I'm happy to be back here where I have some type of support and I can actually feed myself. So
the check's in the mail, dude.
Yeah, man, that per diem. You're not getting that per diem?
They said that
hey, if you would have filed your fucking expense report in a timely manner, you know, what do you think this is? Do you think this is fucking DTS?
Tell me where the ether cable is at in Gaza. All right, you tell me where the ether cable. Where can I plug into the internet in Gaza?
You didn't take Daddy Elon Starlink with you?
Yeah, dude. Where's that Starlink package?
How am I supposed to fund this?
Oh man, dude. You know what? We're gonna hash that out. Yeah, guys.
I hope the people see the type of talent that we're working with out here.
You know, let's get them taken care of, guys. Yeah, man.
Hey, the best way to support me out there is buying the merch. I get like 1% of the funds allocated to me. So
there you go. Hey, I love that. Hey, that's a good segue, guys. That's right. The Chaos Shop is live. Trust and Verify series is out now. Link in the description, guys. Hit it up. Get it while it's hot. And as you know, that's what keeps our One Eye correspondent going, guys. So hey, by all means, let's keep him fed. All right, team. Get him a cup of coffee or something. You know,
yes.
Get him something, team. All right, it goes a long way. Either way, team. Will, there's a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot has happened. A lot has happened, but either way, guys, I want to start off. I want to start this episode right. All right. I want to start this episode right. All right. There's a new study that's been conducted, and results they've now been gathered. Data's been gathered. Before we get into this, because I know it's going to get wild, team. I'm already predicting it. You know, I got the Jim Beam flowing. Yeah, it's a Jim Beam kind of night. But I want to go ahead and relay this message out to you guys. All right. So this is something. This is making the headlines right now. And this is something that we should all remember here at the Comfort and Chaos team, that, hey, sometimes it's okay to have that uncomfortable conversation, and it's okay to disagree with one another. Okay. And life is going to go on, and there's nothing that's going to hinder you from operating or conducting and taking care of your circle and just living life. You're still going to have to pay taxes. I'm sorry. It's just life. You're still going to need gas. That's right. Gas, guys. Gas. One of our sponsors. Remember that.
Gas.
All right. Yeah. This episode is brought to you by gas, guys. When your car dies, you need it. You need to get to work. You need it. You need to get the kids to school. You need it. So go out, get some gas. All right, team. All right, Will. Fill us in, man.
First of all, fuck them kids. Secondly, my Tesla doesn't need gas. So, we got to find new sponsors. Yeah, man, it's been a wild 24 hours. Like,
yeah, man, your main man came to the town, right?
Yeah, my boy.
your boy came to town.
Yeah.
Trying to have a good deal, make a deal happen.
Oh my God.
And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me go ahead and show the picture right now. This is the headline right now.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. You know what? A lot of people are knocking his outfit, but let me tell you, dude, I actually dig that outfit. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, what did the kids say? He's got the drip.
He's got some good drip right there.
I think he's gonna go for a 5-mile run.
All he's missing is really some Yeezys.
Yeah.
Throw on a pair of Yeezys with that dude, he'd be locked in.
Me, looking at him wearing that, he's ready to go to the gym. He's ready to go for a little.
He looks like he's ready to go to the gym or go to the range, throw on the plate carrier. Hey, let's do it. Let's get to work.
But that's been his fit this entire time. Every single time we've seen him since the war started, that's what he's been wearing. So
yeah. Well, technically, didn't he come to LA to receive an award? Some kind of award, and he wore a tux and everything for that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he did. It was I don't know, some kind of award. Guys, look it up. Comment down below. Let me know. I don't know if it was some kind of I don't know, was it an Emmy or a Golden Globe? I don't know. He got something. I don't know. They gave him something. I know he came to LA.
Best actor.
He's definitely obsessed with Hollywood. He's obsessed with that world, and he did come down here and he wore a tux. So
yeah.
Hey, you can wear a tux to that, but can't wear a suit to see one of the world leaders.
Yeah, that's
makes
true.
sense to me.
But Will looks like he's fiending to respond here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, Will, what are your thoughts, dude?
Dude, that was one of the most disturbing things I've seen in a long time. Across the board, right? I think when we talk about, and we've said this a lot lately, multiple things can be true at once, right?
True.
The way that entire press conference was laid out, and everybody's reaction was disturbing and disgusting. For both parties, it was a goddamn dumpster fire. And the fact that you had, him acting as if hey, I'm here and right, I'm going to show up in my tracksuit, my warlord suit. Yeah, that's not a good look. His general attitude was kind of fuck you, pay me. Not a good look. The president acting like a fucking 2-year-old. Not a good look. The vice president acting like it was an episode of Step Brothers, and somebody had just put his nuts on his drum set. Not a good look. The ambassador to Ukraine is sitting there damn near crying.
I saw that.
As these world leaders, and I put that in air quotes, leaders, are acting like jackasses on the world stage and just pissing all over each other, and have no
Yeah.
context to what is actually going on. It was pretty disturbing, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was not America's proudest moment to be a lead from the front type of nation. Not super pumped. Not super pumped about the whole thing.
So I'm gonna say okay. So I see it from different avenues too.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
I'm gonna see it from different avenues here. And try to find the common sense here. Now, I see this one as President Trump has basically ran on like America first. His that is his priority.
Yep.
And we're seeing it. I mean, he's done literally. He's not wasting no time. In the decisions and everything that he ran on, he's not wasting no time. And a lot of us have already seen it. You guys have seen it, but this is kind of like, and plus, we also got to remember he's not a politician. So all those other politicians, you see all those other, presidents and all these world leaders, they come and it's always the same shit. It literally is. It is always the same shit. I mean, they come to the Oval Office, it's like they shake hands, they're sitting on those two chairs, and that it's advertised as like, hey, this is supposed to be a big meeting. Hey, they're coming. These world leaders are flying here. It's something serious. They're flying here for a reason, and I was kind of like, I was one of those where it was like, especially because you and I, Will, too, and One Eye, as well. But like, we've sat in meetings where, command and staff, training meetings, QTBs, you're sitting in all these meetings where actual military leaders and commanders are going to voice opinions. And sometimes they argue, commanders will argue with other, like they're going to do, hey, you want to do this? Hey, you can't do this. I'm going to reclama this. And you that's what those meetings are about, and they're taking care of their own, the commanders are taking care of their own,
True, but you don't do it in front of the children.
Yeah. And that's where I do agree. You don't do it in front of the soldiers. Commanders don't argue in front of the soldiers, but sometimes it does happen, right? It does happen because they're still human beings.
Wrong, and it's wrong then too, right? Like it's also fucked then when you do that. And if you wanted to have, right, like you're showing, and what we're saying is an ally against a unprovoked Russian invasion of a sovereign nation, right? That we have supported, right? We have supported that nation in its defense. And I've got the numbers to show how much support the U.S. has given, right? You don't basically tell, the president of that country in front of the cameras, right? That you don't have the cards, and that you've made terrible decision, right? Like you don't admonish them in front of the cameras, right? Within hours of that happening, Russia, stepped up its bombing campaign, and there were again air sirens going over Kiev, like right, like, oh, like clearly their number one ally is no longer supporting them the way that they had been. When you start talking about like getting everybody to the negotiating table, you don't do that shit publicly. Like, you want to have that discussion, let's have that discussion behind closed doors, right? You don't do that publicly. Like, as far as foreign relations go, that was a dumpster fire, and it was led by the commander in chief, right? Like, you got to call a spade a spade. It was wrong. Like, it was hands down wrong. Again, multiple things can be true at once. Hey, like, has Zelensky handled this situation well at all? Nope. Like he
Yeah.
was damn near campaigning.
He's got the lowest approval rating.
Well,
It's like 4%, single digits.
well, you know what? I don't. The reality is we have absolutely zero clue if that's accurate, right? You know, when you start talking about any figures coming out of both Ukraine and Moscow, right? The amount of just propaganda coming out of both those countries is insane, right? So we don't know what the actual thing is, right? He has refused to hold elections. To be fair, it is right, like his country is in rubble. So that's kind of hard, right? Again, multiple things can be true at once. But the way that was handled, was just terrible, right? You know, however, has Zelensky done things to provoke the current administration? 100%. Right? And there's some of it that I understand where you're like, hey man, like I'm not going to negotiate while there are foreign troops inside my fucking country. Like, not going to do it. Okay, hey man, I admire the man's testicles and him putting it out on the table. 1000%. I fully admire it. But the reality of the situation is, and I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull up like the amount of support. Right, I had pulled it up a second ago. Right, this is the total allocations over the last couple of years. Right, so this is in billions. It's technically in billion of euros. Right, so U.S. combined. Right, the blue there. Right, that's financial aid. So that's roughly, let's see, 46.6 billion in financial aid, 3.42 million in humanitarian aid, and 64 billion in military aid. Right?
Damn.
Combined, the EU has gotten close to where we're at for financial aid. It's not even close militarily.
And zero military.
Well, right, like the EU doesn't have a standing military, right? So it's made up of these countries, right? So then you got, Germany's the next closest with about 12 billion in military aid total, right? The UK is also given, about 10 billion, and everybody else is, drops in the bucket comparatively. But that's the level of like aid that we're talking about.
Damn.
Right. That the U.S. has provided financially and militarily, right, to Ukraine. Right. So as this has dragged on, right, and we've talked about it on the show before. What's the end solution?
Yeah, what's the end state?
What's the end state? Like, where are we at? Is it feasible for us to, right? Like, is this another forever war that the U.S. has gotten into? We didn't start it, right? But we're not ending it either, right? Like, we're not interested in going toe to toe with Russia, because if we, go start shit, which, okay, like if that's what we're gonna do, okay, we just ended 20 years of war a minute ago. Are we getting ready to go back into another one? We're going to go start a little WW3. Is that what we're fucking planning on doing? Is that what the rest of NATO is planning on doing? Like, are they going to jump in? Like, what's the solution? I don't know. You tell me. Like,
I know. And what's shitty though? Here's the one thing too, though. Like, this man Zelensky, he is in charge of all that. Reality, he's in charge.
Sure.
But it's like, that is the question that, hey, dude, what is your end state here?
I know what his end state is. His end state is to kick him clean the fuck out of Ukrainian territory, right? Like he wants to reacquire Donbass. He wants to reacquire Crimea. You know, like, hey, I want my fucking country back. And that, okay, like, I'm with you, man. Like, I've said it from the beginning, right? Like the fact that the Ukrainian people have held on as long as they have is absolutely a testament to their will, right? Like they are far outnumbered. They don't have military superiority.
Yeah.
They just don't, right? When it was the little old lady like walking by and handing the Russian soldiers like it was seeds during the their initial ground invasion, like the little old grandma came out and was like, hey, put these in your pocket so when you get murked, something beautiful grows out of your dead body after they bury you. I was like, oh, that's fucking gangster. I love every second of that.
Like, I know, man, but from the leadership stand, opportunity, like come over here, fucking do what you got to do to obviously, you can't do this alone. Stop
Correct.
trying to act like you can do this alone because you can't.
Yeah.
And admit that you can't, and admit that you need our support because you need it. And this. So walk around here knowing this, acting like it, and showing it,
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you to a large extent there. I do.
Because from his demeanor, I'm just going to say from the way he presented himself and his demeanor and conducted himself, it's almost like as if it's like, dude, he's comfortable the way things are going, and let's just keep riding this out. Like, I'm just saying, like, why are we not seeking like an end to this? Why are you not trying to protect your people? Why are you not like come to a resolution? Like, have a solution here. Let's come together and let's form a solution. Whatever it is, pitch that. You want to get your territory back? Okay, pitch that. Be like, hey, come out and just say it. I need my territory back, and then we'll talk peace deals. But I need my territory back. But I still need your guys' help. Like, say that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that there's definitely some deference that he could have shown. Some, right, like a little more, I don't want to say gratitude, man, but at the same time, right, when you're a leader, you're a wartime leader, right? And we've talked about this too before, right? Like, you're a wartime leader, right? You are in the thick of it, and you have been for years. You have watched your country be turned into rubble.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, there's a level of like, fuck you, right?
Yeah,
like that you have to wear on your face at all times, and confidence, right? Like, you have to inspire that. Like, no, man, like, we're going to win. We're going to take back our country, right? Like, there's a level of like, hey, man, I got to put it out on the table and inspire. So, right? Like, again, multiple things can be true at once, right? Did Zelensky necessarily show the appropriate amount of deference while still showing himself to be a positive wartime leader? No, I don't think he managed that correctly, but neither did Trump. Like, you don't berate a man and then and then show ultimate deference to Putin anytime that you've been around him. Right? Like, I mean, you can't do both.
Yeah, but I think if there's one thing we learned about President Trump is he's a reactionary man. He's not a politician. I can't say he's a reactionary politician, but he is a reactionary man. And you got to understand, not only that, he is a man who knows, hey, he's in his second term. There's no more terms after this. He knows that. He knows he can literally he can react and do whatever. He can tweet. He can do whatever. He's going to play he's going to manipulate the media. He has the cards in his hands. He just knows. He knows. And he's going to stand his ground. And Zelensky, to me, is like, dude, you should have known all this. Like, know this. And then know that he is a man. who is not a politician. And when you have campaigned with his opponent, literally making the time while your country's at war and you're fighting this war, but you're going to take the time to come over here and campaign with his opposition, and then knowing that you're going to have to eventually meet with the opposition for aid and support in your country, like fucking play the fucking game, dude. Like at that point, just play the game,
Yeah.
But I do agree. It should have been, honestly, all of that to me should have been handled in a private setting, but unfortunately we live in a time where media transparency and Trump, who we know likes to play the media game, and he's in his second term, he has nothing to lose. And he's literally going to play the media game, and he's going to let the people know, like, he is that type of guy, and we should have known that's coming. We should have known that is coming, but I can't wait. Once One Eye comes back, he's talking to the producer right now, getting his pay situated. But once he gets back, we're going to hear his opinion on this too. But I'm one of those guys, Will, where I'm like, dude, what Trump was telling you, obviously, I mean, you tell me, Will, I mean, Trump is just spitting the facts out. He's spitting everything that everyone knows, everyone talks about. Like, dude, you need us. If we were not there to support you, who knows where this would be right now? If you didn't have any support and you were left alone, where would this be?
Well, we showed the amount of material support, right? Like, and financial support that the U.S. has been giving. It's been massive, and it really has kept them in the fight. And that doesn't account also for intelligence and training that we've provided, right, to their military. The intelligence that we provided, for them to be able to conduct successful military operations. Like, where do you think they're getting that intel from? It's from us, right? It's from coalition partners. It's from the U.S. And so, 1,000%. I feel you there, right? And you're correct. But once again, right? Like, you don't throw that out. You don't throw that out publicly, right? And not right. It should be, hey, we are unified in our action. We're going to figure this out. And we're going to have a good meeting today to figure out how we increase U.S. And bilateral U.S. and Ukrainian relations, right? To help give them security guarantees, right? And then also, hey, I'm going to get a win for the U.S. and we're gonna work with our partners to gain additional oil and mineral rights inside of their country, that we're going to share between us, right, to help pay back and then invest in a brighter Ukrainian future, right? Like, you go out there, that's what you say, right? You don't say the dumb shit that came out of his mouth. Like, you just don't.
Yeah. I don't know. One Eye, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, so like I said, I just came in from the Oval Office, right?
Fill us in, man. Fill us in.
I flew in last night to come meet you guys for this podcast because I knew how important this topic was.
All over the place. Just the hardest working man in media today.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't gloat about that, right? We don't talk about all my adventures and stuff like that. But anyways, so what was the primary reason Russia invaded Ukraine? Why did they invade Ukraine? Right. That's like, if we get back down to the basics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Will kind of already hit on it, right? The minerals, right? The oil, right? The fertile ground that Ukraine has, right?
I don't know. I don't think
also,
that's
but
right.
But also, can you imagine, right? And this is just bear with me for a second. If Canada was Russia, all right, and Russia put troops on the border like they did with Ukraine, right? how would the U.S. respond, right? Russia, we know Russia and the United States don't get along,
Mhm.
right? If you imagine Ukraine becoming part of NATO, right? And now you have this force at your front door, you will feel very threatened. Okay. So if we look back at the basics, Ukraine, Russia, NATO, the resources, yeah, you know, Ukraine is going to feel very threatened. And the way that Zelensky uh, showcased himself on Friday was inappropriate. Okay. But Ukraine will never become part of NATO because the moment they do become part of NATO, it's World War III
Mhm.
instantly. And so I do think, the United States gaining mineral rights and the ability to increase production in Ukraine for the benefit of the United States is a good idea. But I would be curious what type of discussions are going to be had with Putin. Because if the United States comes to agreements
Mhm.
with Ukraine for those deals, how is Russia going to respond?
Mhm.
You know, so I don't know. I don't want to speak too much about it because like this Oval Office visit wasn't productive at all.
No.
Like neither side gained anything.
No.
Like nobody knows any more than what we already know.
Mhm.
So just looking at the basics, back to where it all began. I don't know a way forward. When I was at the Oval Office, I was in the background behind the cameras, looking at just children just playing with people's lives. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people have died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that wasn't productive.
No.
And during that meeting, thousands and thousands of more have died.
No, I agree.
So I don't know a way forward.
I agree. And that leads me into the other thought process where I almost think sometimes, and I don't know, Will, you tell me, but I almost think like it was like, I think our current administration, it's almost like they wanted that to happen. It's almost like they saw it coming and they knew it. And that's why, because it was funny that the vice president was there, particularly for this visit, but he wasn't there for the French president that came. He wasn't there for the Saudi Arabian guy who came. Like he wasn't there for that one, but he was there for this one. And he was very vocal too. And it was very like, it was almost like to me, I just look at it, I'm like, dude, I think this was set. And then immediately after, there's already impeachment talks for Ukraine, because I get it, because like what you just said, imagine the people now over in Ukraine right now, those civilians and those people living there, and they just saw their leader almost like conduct himself in the way they did. And it's like his focus isn't even for them. It's like his focus is like his pride or his ego or whatever. And I think the recent report or what's been reported, I mean, they got we're talking civilian casualties. It's in 12,000s right now. Civilian casualties, and these are women and children. These are mothers and fathers that literally now are like seeing their world leader go to America, meet with American leadership, try to come to some kind of solution or some kind of thinking. Like I can imagine being a Ukrainian right now and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, please make a deal. Like, let's end this. Let's end this. Like, I just lost my uncle. I just lost my auntie. I lost my mother. Like they're literally make something. And then they watch this and then they're like, does this guy even care about us?
They pretty much lost all hope.
Like I could see that. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on that? But I could feel that if I was there.
I think it's a couple things, right? Let's back up a little bit, right? Why was the vice president and Sec State there? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to back up a couple weeks, remember that this deal was actually brought to, like the original deal was brought to Zelensky via the VP and Sec State.
Okay.
Right? So they took the deal to him, right?
Okay.
This is some of the backroom stuff that has happened. So they take the deal to him. The way it's discussed is, hey, it's a productive meeting. Zelensky takes the deal and is like, oh, I got to push this through, like the equivalent of my Congress, and run this through, my folks first. He then comes out and badmouths the U.S. for trying to steal, right, Ukraine, right, all of their infrastructure, the oil rights, the precious metal stuff, and it absolutely put a bad taste in the VP and Sec State's mouth, which is why they were there, and they were a little fired up. If I had to guess, that's probably why. Like, hey, you badmouthed and embarrassed us publicly. So I think some of that was, was a bit of tit for tat. Again, right? Like, you do that shit behind closed doors. You don't fight in front of the kids. As far as, what we don't know is, does this embolden the Ukrainian people, right? Like, here's the big bad wolf, America. Our leadership stood up to them and said, no, fuck you. Like, no, I'm not doing this deal with you. We're gonna do it on our own, right? Like, that's what we don't know yet. What I can tell you is it embarrassed the U.S. on an international scale, to the point where our own subs are now being reported to be being turned around out of Europe because they are refusing to fuel them, like into the Netherlands. And they are encouraging other countries in Europe to do the same, to not fuel U.S. naval vessels because we look like clowns, right? So the impact of this is potentially much wider ranging than we are seeing, right? We, the U.S., do not look good on the international stage right now, because instead of backing our allies publicly, right, like, we can have the discussion in private. Hey, if you keep fucking around and you're not serious to ending this conflict, we are going to stop supporting you, right? That's the conversation that we should be having in private, right? We fully back our allies against a unprovoked attack into their country where they are defending themselves, right, against a far superior force, right? And we are, and our NATO allies are backing them. That's the public fit, right? There's a public and a private discussions that need to be had.
Yeah,
those two don't necessarily have to always match, right? We can have some differing things, right? Like, we can have the discussion in private, like, hey man, like, you need to come to the table, right? And we're gonna get a political win as well, right? Of, hey, you're gonna pay back, right? We're gonna do security cooperation. You have some of the richest lithium in the world, right? The ability inside of your country to mine that is untouched, right? Like, we're gonna invest in you, right? Which is going to do what? It is going to it's going to allow the U.S., right, to have an interest inside of your country. Other than that, what are we doing there? Is it in America's interest? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Like, right? Like, it's the Russians, not our buddies, and they're going to gain territory out towards a NATO allies. Like, that's not good. And they're just randomly expanding their territory. Like, also not good. That's not in America's interest, right? We want to talk about America first. What is in America's interest?
Yeah, no, and I agree, and the interest part too. Now, want to segue more into also, obviously we've identified a lot of wasteful spending, correct? In
Oh,
the
yeah.
past days. Now, that being said, that amount of money, and we also know, and One Eye, maybe you can agree because I think you were there, but we also know historically Ukraine has also been a very corrupt nation.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah, 1000%.
corrupt. Yeah, exactly. 1000% corrupt, which, I mean, that can be also a factor of like, hey man, because of how corrupt you guys have been, I mean, at the same time, you have this trend of corruption in your country and in your government. What's to say some of that funding, or what are you guys doing with that money that is causing this to last so freaking long?
Yeah.
And I think even President Trump, he addresses some of that. He's like, dude, the last president gave you over this many $1 billion. What have you done with it? Like, how is this still going? How much more do you need? And then more and more and more. Like, what are you doing? Where's the receipts? What are you doing? Like, where's it going? I mean, that's my thing, because based off the last administration, we've already identified that there's a lot of wasteful spending.
Yeah.
We're talking money to 50 with the condoms comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like $50 billion for condoms, or $1 million.
That's numbers for the resistance. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just saying, so of those billions, how much has gone to condoms? If I'm just going to throw that out there,
Yeah. And there's been gigantic chunks of that money that has absolutely disappeared, and nobody knows where it is. Nobody knows what it was spent on. Right. I 1000% agree with you. Right. Like, again, right. Like, that can be true. So can, hey, we need to have this discussion of like, how are we going to wind this down? How do we make it stop? And
but
nobody,
the key word there that you're saying is we, because I think it's up to us.
I will.
Sure.
Before we get too
part.
up, sorry, just before we get to about the spending, one thing that I've noticed, right, is with the U.S. spending and giving all this money to Ukraine, one thing we've been able to accomplish, right, is we've been able to test our equipment with a peer-to-peer threat, right? Something we haven't been able to do in decades, right? So we're giving this new equipment to Ukraine, and we're getting all this information back on how effective our equipment is, our modern day equipment is. So I wouldn't say all of the funds are being wasted in Ukraine.
Oh yeah,
sure,
no, 1000%.
But we're literally testing our modern day equipment over there without actually being involved in a war. That in itself is valuable.
Yeah, and we've also figured out, right? Like, we made the Russians absolute paper tigers, right? Or we thought that they were an absolute near peer threat, and it turns out not so much. Like, their shit kind of sucks.
Yeah,
they just got a lot more people and a lot more equipment.
But that has always been, historically, that has been their fighting style.
Yeah.
Just throw bodies.
Yeah.
Throw bodies at it. Throw bodies at the conflict. Don't worry. We don't have the weapons.
Machine,
here you go. Here's extra ammo. Put it in your pocket. When the guy dies in front of you, pick up his weapon and keep fighting, for the motherland. That has been their fighting style since day one. So they got the people. But at some point, like Will was saying, no. And we've been asking this question constantly in previous episodes. It's like, dude, what is the freaking end state? And what are you doing to pursue that end state? Because right now it doesn't look like you're doing anything. It looks like you just want to keep you're in a sustain phase. Let's just sustain. Let's sustain where we're at. Sustain. Saturate all this other company, all these other countries support. But let's just we're going to keep a cycle going, and it's just going to go on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
When it's like, dude, fucking end this shit.
One thing I want to bring up though is one thing I was really rooting for when Trump was running for presidency is he said that he was going to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of him becoming president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That is a promise
true.
that was not delivered on.
I know. And Biden said he was going to cure cancer. I'm just saying. So if we're going to throw a promise, I mean, if you're going to hold him to that, hey, you better hold the same standard to everyone else, because Biden said he was going to cure cancer.
I mean, nobody. The end result is nobody has had a good way to bring both sides of the table, right? Like, I don't have a problem with the administration meeting with Russian counterparts, right, to get them to the table. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with increasing U.S. interests in the region to help give the Ukrainian security guarantees moving forward. I didn't have a problem with that, right? Because if we have, significant security interests, hey, like right, it forces the U.S. to come to the table when the Russians do something stupid like what they have done thus far. Okay. Didn't have a problem with that, but the way that they're handling this across the board, and it's both sides, right? Is really just not good. It's not productive, and my fear is right that we, as a result of this, pull back, right, the amount of support that we've been giving, right. Then our NATO allies, you saw it on the charts, right? Like, they're not giving anywhere close to the same amounts that we are of military intelligence, financial support for this, right? Without that support, the Ukrainians, it's not looking good for them. I don't want to say right. They've been counted out this entire time. They were supposed to have gotten rolled over within days. It didn't happen. They've been putting up a fight for years. Yep. God bless them. Right. Balls as big as can be. Just all balls, like just all balls.
Great balls.
Just gigantic,
big
all balls,
brass balls,
huge. They're huge. Right. Without that support, it's not looking good. So was this all for naught? Right. Like, let's close this out. Let's figure out how to bring both sides of the table and work out a deal that is as good as it's going to get without going to full scale conflict. Or like, we got suckered into this thing, and what did we get out of it? Like, yeah, we got to test some shit at the cost of, tens to hundreds of thousands of lives. Not a good look. Not a good look.
Also, and money. Taxpayer money.
To throw in, somebody decided to send a freaking bomb over to Chernobyl, and hit the freaking rooftop of Chernobyl over there in Ukraine. So whoever did that, idiot, straight idiot.
Yeah, freaking idiot.
That's where we're gonna get at this. Radiation.
So, now I'm going to ask you guys. Now I'm going to ask you both this question. I'm going to ask you guys this. All right. I want you guys to put yourself in charge of this shit. All right. Hey, Will, One Eye. All right. We'll go with Will first. But let's say you're in charge. How would you fix this?
In charge of what? Like the United States or Ukraine or Russia?
I'm going to say, and let's say you're in charge of Ukraine. Hypothetically, let's say you're in charge of the country Ukraine. Will, we're going to start with you. What would your actions be starting tomorrow if you're in charge of Ukraine?
I mean, it's easy for me to say, like, I would, work out a deal, to try and gain back some of the territory that was lost to the Russian invasion. But there's chunks of it that are probably unrealistic. If and again, right? Like I don't know their situation on the ground, right? Like
if hypothetically, just describe that deal. Like, just put yourself. You are now the president of Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm gonna work with the U.S.
tomorrow. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm gonna work with the right. Like I'm gonna end the conflict. Right, you're probably going to give up some territory, but I'm right, which is not. It's not a good look. It's not what you want on the Ukrainian side. But the reality is, you're not getting that back without, again, suckering NATO into a full-scale war. So okay. But then I'm going to get that U.S. and NATO security guarantees, right, to rebuild the infrastructure. Hey, yeah, like I'll let you come in and mine, and you want to do oil and security and infrastructure cooperation and energy, dependency inside of my country. So that way, right, like
because now they have a presence there.
Well, not just a presence, but an interest, right? Like
exactly,
right. If the U.S. is getting, offsetting its dependency on other nations like China that we don't want to be dependent on for a bunch of that stuff. Hey, like I'm interested now. I'm not letting the Russians come in and clean house because I have a national interest. I have a national security interest in that.
There you go.
So I'm going to work that deal. But it's easy for me to say because my backyard isn't infested with fucking Russians. And if it was, if it was, like maybe I have a different answer, and maybe it's Wolverines, right? Like fuck you, like I'll go out like right, like I'm getting my rifle and I'm going the line, and that's it. And we're gonna figure it out there. That's okay. Like Wolverines. I get it, man. Like they're not in my fucking backyard. But if they were, maybe my answer is different.
No, I totally get it, man, and I understand it. But you did mention a good point, and a lot of social media is going crazy right now. But you mentioned a good point. Is you even just said that our backyards are different right now. We're very comfortable here in the U.S. We're very safe. We're very secure. But there's a lot of people out there who are just going rampant with their opinions right now. And the truth is a lot of those opinions are based off just never experience true conflict, never experience even going overseas or even walking on land where or engaging yourself with people that are living amongst a possible threat literally every day in any facet, And then you get it. Your mindset's a little different then, It's easy to have opinion when you're safe, secure, you got your nice hard roof over your head, bills are paid. You can easily go down the road for a gallon of milk, get some eggs, get some gas. One of our sponsors, guys, get some gas. Very easy, But I mean, like, dude, ceasefire. That just one way gets me because I always like, okay, dude, that's a good opinion, but okay, where have you been? What have you done? I'm going to ask you that. That's what I'm going to ask you. But okay, I don't want to say why. But One Eye, you're in charge of Ukraine. First day on the job tomorrow. What do you do?
Oh, I'm a son of a bitch. I'll tell you what. All right. I'm looking 50, 75, 100 years down the road.
Okay.
I'm going to get your fucking ass. All right. May not be tomorrow. May not be in a week. May not be in a year. But we're going to cut a fucking deal right now. All right. With the intention, I'm coming for your ass. All right. I'm coming for your ass eventually. All right. I'm going to cut a deal with the U.S. I'm going to cut a deal with Russia.
Yeah. Right? Would you wear a suit?
Yeah.
You come in a tux. I'd say, fuck it. I come in a freaking tux.
Because it's a fucking party.
Right?
It's a fucking party.
Hey, that's what he should have did. Yeah. Imagine if Zelensky just showed up in a tux.
Yeah. And then somebody in the back was doing disco lights and shit. Like,
no, not even that. Just
fucking
showed up
hated it.
straight in a tux, dude. Like,
Yeah. But yeah.
hell yeah.
So a deal needs to be cut. That, I mean, it's just plain and simple.
That is definitely the reality.
The U.S. is going to have a presence. NATO is going to have a presence inside of Ukraine. Russia is going to more than likely retain majority of what they are.
What they already got hold
they
of. They're
already
not going to
got,
give that away.
right?
I don't see Putin giving
That's
that shit
fine.
up.
That's fine. But like I said, 50 years, 75 years.
Like playing the long game.
I'm going to play the long game. And I'm going to get my fucking land back.
I mean, that's
Eventually,
interesting. That's
right?
an interesting thought. You know, a lot of people only just live like in the now.
Because
Not everybody thinks about that long game. Like,
because
hey, let me make a deal now.
having the U.S., having NATO in my country, building up my infrastructure, for me, yeah, I'm gonna get that motherfucker. I'm gonna get my fucking land back. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, a deal will be cut. Would it be in my best interest? Probably not. But I'll play that long game, and that my people will be taken care of. So
we got to remember too, right? Like when it comes to the U.S. and our promises, right? Our track record as of pseudo recent has not been great. Like, I don't know. Like, how did the Kurds pan out? How did the Yazidi pan out? Like, there's a lot of instances of us saying, hey, like, we're there for you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily pan out that great.
But I would definitely just to say, though, because conflict has changed, at least for us,
This is in our lifetime in the wars that we've fought.
Yeah, man. And I get it, but it's because of the fact that we shifted into this, like, hey, let's go somewhere and then we're going to be there and then we're going to engage this conflict, but we're going to pan out this conflict. Even though if we wanted to, we can end that shit real quick. Plant a flag, build a McDonald's, put a couple of Valeros, boom, they're there. We have that power. We can do that, but we don't do that. We go, then we play the hearts and minds games. Here you go. Here's a couple of our Humvees. Here's a couple of this. Here you do. Hey, we'll be here for a while. Yeah, we'll help you guys, do this. Hearts and minds. And then it's like, okay, money, time, threats. And then boom, what are we doing here? And then later on it shifts to, what are we doing here? When those days, the early days, historically it was like, boom, we get there, boom, 3 days, we invade Iraq. After that, boom, Third ID did their thing. These divisions, we had a 3-day operation, boom, 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 boom. We're in there, boom, everyone's gone. Okay, hey, this is now, poop, here's the American flag. This is our land now. We're building a new base. Get ready. All this stuff. This is hey, get ready. Here comes McDonald's. Here comes everything else. But those days are done. Now it's just, let's go support. It's all these proxy wars. Hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do that. And then boom, billions of dollars. Hey, we're going to train your guys. We're going to do this. Let you guys but in reality, that's why. I mean, you think about it. And then what does it always lead to? We leave and then everything goes back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Hey,
look, I'm going to preface with this, I don't want anyone to die in war. I don't want to do war at all.
No,
right?
You don't want war at all.
No, but like I said, back to the funding of the Ukrainian war, right? I would much rather our equipment be tested in this current war than, us go in there with untested modern equipment with a peer-to-peer threat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I would rather our people be safe. And that's a little selfish, but looking at this war, there's a lot of good for the United States that came out of it.
Yeah.
Just looking at the United States, a lot of good has come out of it. So
yeah, I get it.
And that's just being purely selfish.
I get it.
So
yeah, you're not wrong. You're definitely not completely wrong on that, right? But at this point, we figured it out.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially with cyber warfare too. I don't want to throw that like we're talking like actual hard equipment. Our
yeah,
cyber warfare, we tested that
no, there
in
was
Ukraine.
definitely
So,
an interesting, from a warfare perspective, if we back up and just take a look at it from a warfare perspective, right?
Mhm.
We've gained a lot of insight into what does modern warfare, right, near peer, look like, right? And I think it surprised a lot of people, like, oh, we're going back into some trenches. We're right there's things that we
Yeah.
didn't quite see, like because of GWAT, right, where we had just superiority out the yin yang, and
Yeah.
we could do whatever we wanted whenever we wanted, right? Like that doesn't exist anymore. So we figured out a lot, and I'll give you that, right? But at the cost of what? At the cost of how many lives? Not right. Like, like
I know.
like we ate right. Like we didn't start this. The Ukrainians didn't start this shit. Right, but we have an opportunity to bring this to a close and not spend another
yeah.
probably close to 200 billion at least.
Yeah. We did what we needed to do. We don't need to spend anymore. So
Or do we? Right?
I just don't see conflict. I look at conflict just differently now because of the fact that is all that it's just conflict, sustain, but there's never like overcome.
If
There's
you
never
show me,
conquer. There's never like
yeah,
that's what warfare of an empire was. You had the Roman Empire. You had Germany in World War II. Just literally, you see the map and the globe just getting covered in red. But if America were, because to be delegated as a superpower, that means you have the capability, and we do. I'll just tell you, our military is freaking probably the most superior. Like Afghanistan, dude. If we wanted to, or if someone did, Will, you tell me. Could we have taken the country of Afghanistan?
we did.
Yeah. No, we didn't. We literally went over there, sustained, and then left.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? There was no conquer. We didn't plant the flag. We went over there, built a base. Hey, here's some Humvees. We're going to go on some patrols with you guys. Do this, do that. It wasn't like, oh, and then we left.
Well, that's because it failed.
But if we wanted to, it would have been like, nope, motherfuckers, we're here. This is it. This is now part of the United States. Welcome to United States, Afghanistan. Here we go. This is our new territory. Here we go. New PCS duty stations. Here we go. Walmart's coming. Target's coming. Starbucks. Here we go.
Nobody. Yeah. That's right. Then we're the Russians.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying though. That's now because of that though, warfare conflict now has changed. That's what it used to be.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Historically,
I see what you're saying,
and
right?
now it's just everything's proxy wars, everything's conflict, sustain. Here you go. Everything's like that's your neighborhood. This is my neighborhood. Oh, they're bothering you. Here you go. Here, I'll give you some support. That's it. We'll send some people over here, and that's it. Sure. And then we'll leave.
At the end of the day, right? Like, if you told me, or I think really, if you made the case to the American people that, hey, this is what this is going to take to bring this to a close, like, then we can discuss, right? Like, we can have the discussion of, hey, we're going to continue to spend X number of whatever dollars. We're going to continue to do what we're doing, right? Like this is the exit strategy. That still hasn't popped up yet. I think Trump tried to make a case for one. It just really shitty how he did it.
Yeah, it sounded like he was trying to. He just did it in a different manner,
Yeah, and again, right, like multiple things can be true at once. Zelensky.
Did you notice there was no? Did you notice there was no like generals in there? I didn't see any generals. Did you see any generals?
No, but I only. That was a packed room. right? Like again, that was a press conference that was supposed to. It should have been a 5-10 minute deal, and then let's go behind doors to close this out. That's not what happened, unfortunately, and it turned into a 40-minute. For the most part, through a good chunk of it wasn't bad, and then one question set the president off, and it just devolved and spun wildly out of control. And I don't know, man. Like it was really sad to see, the state of foreign affairs in our country. Like we're better than that. We should have been better than that.
Yeah, man. I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure you and like everybody else, we all are just hoping for a quick freaking end to this shit. Honestly, I'm ready for it to end. But I'm just one of those guys, man. I've learned just from my time being alive and just seeing how conflicts now, especially global ones, are handled. It's like I feel like nothing really ever truly gets resolved. It's just a lot of money, a lot of lives, people die, and seeing the whole conflict in Afghanistan. And then of course, when we left, and just knowing, I'm pretty sure every single one of us can relate, that we've all had brothers and sisters who have lost their lives, in those campaigns. And I'm the one of those where I look back and I'm like, dude, really? Like, I lost my buddy and then we left. Like, what was it for? A lot of veterans, my heart goes out to a lot of those veterans who are probably battling still with that mindset and still wondering, like, what was that for? I mean, just think of all the movies and the books and all the stuff that was written from all these historical and heroic events and missions, and all of a sudden you look back and you're just like, dude, what was really for that? And then you see how we left, and now what is it now? It's almost like it would feel better or there would be more meaning if, like, boom, that American flag is still there. That land is there. They sacrificed for that, but no.
Or how about but this is again, right? Like, no, fuck that. No, fuck that. Like, we shouldn't have been there as long as we fucking were. We had an operation to go wipe out the fucking Al-Qaeda.
Exactly.
Right? And we turned it into nation building and we failed. We did the same thing in Iraq and we failed, right?
And we failed.
You're talking about like the oh God, the Arab Spring. Like, how many countries have fallen because we fucked around? No, exactly. No, stop. Like, how about we don't do that? Let's get out of these things. Let's come to a realistic conclusion. Let's close it out. Like, let's do that. Let's try that.
And
and have a plan and not dump endless amounts of money or bodies or weapons or any of that shit. Right? Like, let's have a plan. You tell me the plan. Okay. But you haven't had a plan. Nobody's had a fucking plan. Let's close this out.
Exactly. See? Sounds like you're on board with President Trump on this one.
Yeah, if he was unfuck himself and stop acting like a goddamn 2-year-old.
Because honestly, man, the way you hit it, like that's what I gathered is like, dude, what's the freaking plan? You got all this money, you got all this stuff. What's the plan? You won't want to sign the deal. You don't want to do this. You're coming over here. You're acting like this. What is the plan? That was my takeaway. That was my takeaway. I don't know. I feel like it's just never gonna end, dude. I don't know. Oh well.
So I will say, wow, I was there. Like I said, I was in the background, right, of this interview going on. I did get 10 seconds with Zelensky.
Okay. Oh no shit.
Yeah, because I got 10 seconds. Shook his hand, and
is he tall?
No.
Yeah, he looks pretty short.
Yeah, he's short, but his ego makes him a little bit taller. But we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I just quickly talked to him. I was like, "Hey, how do you think that went?"
Yeah, what did he say?
Terrible.
He said terrible.
Terrible.
He used those words.
Yeah.
No shit.
Terrible. And he said, I wish I could start over.
Should we get him as a guest? You should have asked him to come on as a guest.
Well, unfortunately, after that 10-second interview with him, as he was walking out because he got kicked out of the White House. So there wasn't really much going on. The security forces were there. They were like, hey, skedaddle. Skedaddle, buddy.
Skedaddle?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And I think I heard someone say, hey, not welcome in the United States anymore, but I don't know who said that. So,
dude,
there's a lot going back on.
It probably was the janitor, man.
Yeah, probably
was a janitor.
Yeah,
dude.
fucking Joe in the fucking back over there, fucking sweeping the White House fucking floors. It's like, what'd you guys say?
He probably got a pen though. Did he get one of those fancy pens they have out there?
Zelensky or Joe?
I mean, Zelensky, he probably walked out with a cool little souvenir, man. There's a lot of souvenirs in
You know what? I did see that motherfucker with a fucking mug.
No, yeah, a coffee mug.
Yeah,
or something.
he grabbed a fucking coffee mug off the goddamn table.
Damn.
Yeah. Tell you what. But yeah, fucking Joe. I don't know why Joe's there. Joe's just there sweeping the fucking floors.
Dude, hey, you know what? No, we've been wondering too. Hey, guys, we got to check on Joe. Someone go check on Joe. All right. # check on Joe. Make sure he's good, dude. I haven't heard from him. We haven't heard from him. Somebody check on him. Make sure he's good. Make sure he's getting his ice cream, and staying off those bikes. We know what happens when he gets on a bike, guys.
And God forbid he starts walking down some stairs.
Yeah. Now, no more bike trails for Joe, guys. Keep him away from the bikes. If you guys see him, we know what happens. Let's look out for Joe. All right, team. Look out for Joe. # check on Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, well, guys. Hey, get your closing comments. Guys, hey, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. In the end, team, we're going to find comfort in this chaos together. All right. We're going to find a common sense in this uncommon world. All right. Together. We don't always have to agree. You already know. We already showed you. There's a scientific study already been proven. Guys, it's okay. You're not going to be harmed. Trust me, life will still go on. We don't always have to agree, but there's always something we can learn from just having a conversation. And that's what we do here. It's literally what we do here. All right. That's what we're all about. But in the end, guys, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe, be part of the Comfort and Chaos community. Get yourself some Chaos merch from the Chaos store. Links will be in the description down below. Guys, hit us up on the socials. Links will also be down below as well. And let's go ahead and go around the table here and get some closing remarks as we wrap things up. So, One Eye, what do you got for the team? Any last words?
Hey, I'm just going to give you guys my personal quote that I came up with. All right.
Oh, horse shit. Here we go.
That should be good.
No, it's very simple. All right, guys. Fear is a thief of opportunity. All right. Fear is the thief of opportunity. I'll leave you guys with that.
Fear is a thief of opportunity. What'd you do? Read a Shakespeare book on your way over here or something?
No, my time at where I'm currently at.
Did Zelensky tell you that?
No, he didn't. I actually told him that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's why he acted the way he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably
he was
why.
like, oh, fearful? Oh, okay.
You should have gave him a tie before he walked in. You said, hey, dude, put this on.
I tried to put it on him. He freaking ripped it off and said, I want to go for a run after this.
He's going to go do PT. Okay. That would have been awesome. He just dropped down and started doing push-ups.
Smoked himself.
Just do a couple burpees while JD's hammering him right now.
But that is my quote, unofficial. Official, though. Nobody's doing it. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you for that, dude. Will, what do you got for the team, man?
Oh, man. I just want some adults in the room, man. That's it. Like
that's a good one, actually. Yeah.
Like where did the adults go?
Where did the adults go?
Like
I feel like we haven't seen them for a couple years now.
No, yeah. No, we clearly haven't. And if at the end of the day, right, like if Zelensky and Putin, right? Like either way, if nobody's coming to the table to close this thing out, like you know, it's time to shit or get off the pot and move forward.
Amen.
And right. Bottom line is we need adults in the room, and everybody was acting like a fucking child. I've had more intelligent, empathetic conversations with my 11-year-old than watching those two act like fucking 6-year-olds. So
hey, I love it. I love it. There you guys go, man. Hey, White Buffalo 2028, bringing adults back.
You don't want the smoke.
There you go. White Buffalo 2028, launching the campaign now. You heard it first. Bringing adults back. There you go. Coming back, team. Coming back. All right, guys. Hey, that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being present, guys. Do your push-ups, drink your water, take your vitamins, and we'll see you on the next video, team.